Chapter 2. How could you do this to me? It was one thing for a child to throw a tantrum, but another for a fully grown man to. It is a decision that so many before I have made, the king said tiredly. What happened to creating a new world, with new rules? Addison screamed in fury as he threw food off the table. The maids shivered in fear. He looked to them. And what do you think we pay you people for? Clean this mess up, he shouted. Reluctantly, they moved slowly to the floor and began to pick up the tableware and broken dishes. Worthless peasant scum, he spat out at them as he walked around the table where his father was sitting. The first son gets the throne, the second whatever land was conquered. He didn't listen, only crossed down the long table, passing his brothers. If you only come down here to make a mess, then just leave, his oldest brother Wiley said casually as he leaned back in his chair. He was too used to his brother's outbursts to entirely care what they were about. Addison put his hands on the back of his other brother Tiberius' chair. Shut it, Wiley. You know nothing of what I'm going through. God does your whining no end, Tiberius said sleepily. You might as well be a woman and marry a prince. Father, you can't give him the throne. He's reckless. I'm right here. And immature, not true, and a tramp of a prince. A little true. Riley and Tiberius laughed. You see, he moves closer to his father. I've worked so hard. I've done everything you've ever asked of me. Father, please. Unable to look his youngest son in the eyes any longer, he looked away to unknown spot at the wall. Father, I have been raised to rule. I have been groomed to be a prince. The anguish in his voice was too much for his father to take. Since birth, he has been promised a throne of his own, and now here it would be taken away, making his future uncertain. Good thing you've been groomed to be a prince, because it looks like you will never become king, Tiberius said shortly. Fully inflamed now, Addison was frozen by anger. Tiberius, that's enough, his father barked. Fine. So be it. If you do not give me my own kingdom, I'll find my own. Your Highness, said a small-looking man in a court uniform. He then entered the room. What is it? The king said unwillingly to take his eyes off a new point he had found on his dinner plate. Addison rose to his feet and straightened his jacket. Queen of Strokes has sent a letter of intent. Her only daughter is looking for a husband. Both brothers looked to the messengers at once. Stroke was famous for only two things, its kingdom's wealth and its only heir to the palace throne, Princess Vidal, who was unmatched in grace and beauty. The room was silenced as Tiberius, Wiley, and even the king turned to Addison. This was my chance. This is what I was been born to become. This was meant to be. This was fate. I turned sharply on my heels. I looked first at my brother Tiberius, whose hair hung past his shoulders, covering most of his face, and then to Wiley, who stared at me intensely. Then lastly to my father, whose face gave away everything, even under his thick beard. Send the letter back immediately. The Prince Addison of Cardell accepts.